Hello and welcome to Bags of Action. This is a 5-minute review of Street Kings from 2008. The film is directed by David Ayer, who more recently has worked on films such as End of Watch, Suicide Squad, Bright, and forthcoming film The Tax Collector. The film is also written by James Ellroy, the famous crime novelist, and Kurt Wimmer. Kurt Wimmer has worked on recent films such as Law Abiding Citizen, Salt, and the remakes of both Total Recall and Point Break. With such a remarkable group of people behind the camera and working on developing it, I was expecting something quite special from this film. Then we come to the cast, which is all-star, including Keanu Reeves, Forest Whitaker, Hugh Laurie, Common, and a young Chris Evans in his pre-Captain America and Marvel days. In some way, this film mirrors Den of Thieves, which we previously reviewed in another episode, which is a more recent film from 2018 starring Gerard Butler. But in Street Kings, Keanu Reeves plays Tom Ludlow, a member of an elite vice squad led by Forest Whitaker. And it becomes very clear at the start of the film that these guys operate around the fringes of the law, because in the first scene, Keanu takes on a group of criminals, killing them and then framing it to look like they attacked him, when in fact he went in and executed them. However, he was also going in to rescue a pair of teenage girls on a high-profile case, so he works in this very grey area where the public are pleased with what he was doing, but the police behind the scenes are perhaps less pleased because of the methods that he uses and the rest of Forest Whitaker's squad. So you have this murky gang of people who are essentially almost criminals but with a badge. Ludlow's former partner, Washington, played by Terry Crews, is believed to have turned on his old friend and has gone to internal affairs to try and bring Tom to justice. So there's this animosity between the two of them. But when Washington is killed and it looks as if Tom is involved, he's taken off Vice and given a desk job until the heat has died down. The problem is Tom still has a conscience. Despite all the things that he's done and all the people that he's killed, he needs to know what has happened to his old friend. So he teams up with a junior and rookie homicide detective played by Chris Evans. Using Tom's old methods, the two of them then begin to dig into the case to find out who killed his old partner and why. And as the film goes on, they begin to peel back layers and realize there's a lot more going on than either of them knew, both related to the case but also the Vice Squad, led by his old friend and mentor, Forest Whitaker, who we've always known has operated in a grey area, but there's definitely a lot that has been hidden from Tom, and he doesn't like being in the dark. This is definitely a film where you have to stay awake and pay attention. The plot twists and turns, some of it is a little bit predictable, but most of the time you're watching very grey characters doing quite unpleasant things to criminals. So there's this strange thing where you're not sure if you should be feeling sorry for the people being beaten up and sometimes killed, or you should be cheering these characters on. When I read after I'd seen the film that James Ellroy was involved, it made perfect sense. The action in the film is brutal and very unpleasant, and it doesn't shy away from any of the unpleasant aspects of police brutality and also being a bent cop. Overall, the cast do an incredible job with the material, which is sometimes a little bit predictable, but on the whole, I really enjoyed what was going on with the film and the direction of the story. I did enjoy watching this film, but once it was over, I did feel like I needed to go and wash my hands because you spent so much time in the muck with these bent cops working around the edges of the law. The film is under 2 hours long, and I think it would have actually have benefited from a little bit longer runtime because some of the character development seemed to have been cut short. There are brief mentions to Keanu Reeves' character having lost his wife, and there's a brief scene talking about it, which feeds into the fact that he's always drinking, but that could also be related to what he has to do day in, day out, and that's his way of coping. So there was room to have more character development. So in summary, the film has a great cast, an interesting story that is not one I've seen many times before, despite the kind of corrupt cop angle which we've seen in other films. But what I'm more amazed is the fact that this completely passed me by when it came out in 2008, as it's exactly the kind of film that I would want to watch. So I'm glad that I've been able to catch up with it. It's not the kind of film that really bears a repeat viewing, but it was still worth seeing in my opinion. So I'm going to give it a solid 3 out of 5. So, have you seen Street Kings? If so, get in touch with us and let us know. You can email us, you can come onto the Facebook group, all the information is below. And of course, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.